All right, I want to talk a little bit about the final paper and really what is the final project. This is something that really is sort of a capstone piece for this course. It's going to be a more intense research paper, uh, but followed up by something a little bit more, hopefully fun and entertaining with a video. So let's talk a little bit about this. In the final project, I want you to look through your textbook and find two works from various cultures and time periods. So I don't want you finding like let's say like two Gothic cathedrals. Okay, I want you to find architecture that could be in Gothic times, but then I would want you to compare and contrast it to something from another chapter. Okay, so you're finding two pieces, you're going to compare and contrast those and talk about them, and all of it under sort of a thesis idea. Now, what is a thesis? Um, if you're not very clear about it, please look it up. But the basic idea is that a thesis needs to be a statement that gives, it can be sometimes controversy, but it's going to give a statement of where the paper is going. And I prefer thesis statements that are a little bit more sort of charged. Like a good thesis would be something, instead of saying Picasso was a great artist. Well, yeah, of course he is. We already know that. That doesn't make me want to read the paper anymore. So I would say Picasso is the greatest of all artists. Okay, well, now you have my attention. How are you going to prove that in the paper? Okay, so if you're going to do a compare and contrast, it can be something along the lines of, architecture from this period is a greater example of religious, compared to this one. You could say something along the lines that I've even had students say that, works from the Paleolithic time have been the same throughout all of modern art history, and they were comparing and contrasting, works that are a little bit more contemporary to those of Paleolithic, right? Making a bold statement is what I want to see in your thesis statement, okay? Now, once you have that thesis statement, it's good to prepare an outline so that way you know what's going to be in the introduction, which includes that thesis, and then you're going to start the next paragraphs by talking a lot about the background of the pieces. Okay, so knowing that you're going to have two pieces, you may spend 2 or 3 paragraphs just describing its form, its content, its context, its elements, its principles, a little bit of its history, all that stuff that you can find in other books, even the textbook, and you're going to cite those sources in MLA format. Okay, I wanted an MLA format. And I'll talk a little bit about how to do that if you don't know about MLA, or you're confused about citations, or maybe this is your first big research paper. I'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, so you're going to chew up a lot of writing just describing the pieces. Okay, now with those descriptions, eventually you're going to get into some paragraphs that get to be a little bit more opinionated, right? Because that's going to tie in that thesis statement saying this is the best work, right? You're going to look at them and you're going to say, okay, because of this, they did it better, and that's what proves my thesis, right? And that's what those next paragraphs are going to be about. And then your conclusion paragraph is going to be, I told you this, I was going to prove to you this, and I did so by doing X, Y, Z in the paragraphs, and thus that's why this whole paper is a complete thought. Okay. All right. So that being said, that's the basic breakdown of a paper. Now this paper is going to be, and you can read the description to hear about more stuff. I'm trying to give you as much information as possible, but the criteria is I want a minimum of 8 pages double spaced, maximum of 15 pages in length. Okay. You got to discuss 2 different works from the art history textbook. I do not want works that are not included in there. Okay, I want that to be an easier starting point, and I realize there's a lot of work out there, and the textbook doesn't have it all. But you find 2 pieces from the textbook. We already talked about the proper format. I want you to use a bibliography, or you can use a works cited. Either of those is fine, but it has to be an MLA citation. And if you're going to cite images, which I highly recommend, but if you're going to cite them, Those are going to be on separate pieces of paper. I do not want images built into the paper itself, because one, that adds length, and I don't want that. I want it 8 pages of writing minimum. Then there's going to be a bibliography after that, which does not count towards the page requirement. And then you have all your photo references. Okay, now those photos being on separate pieces will just be referenced within the paper by saying see figure 1 or see figure 2, and I can then flip to the back pages where those images are added, and they'll be labeled figure 1 or figure 2. Okay. I want you to have a title paper or title cover page on your paper. That's just your title, which you can make it up. You can make up any fancy title. It doesn't need to just be just straight. You can have some fun with this, and of course, put your name on it. You will use Calibri font size 12. All right. Anything else, you will lose points on. And you will also submit to me a rough draft with comments from the Smart Thinking tutor, or if you go to the school, because if you're able to schedule a tutor at Helena College, then you can go in, have your paper reviewed, and they will give you edited comments. Now, using Smart Thinking, you may have never used it before, and you say, I don't know about that. It is super easy, and I will show you those links here in a second. Now, once you have your paper done, I want you to be thinking about a video to create. Now, this video is not you reading the paper. Okay, this is something from the paper that maybe strikes you that you want to do this funny video. Now, I've had students write about their pieces and going back, and they use Lego animation to do it. I've had people do claymation. I've had people do mock newscasts. I've had students dress up. I had one student dress up as Bob Ross, and they were talking about the Colosseum. The Colosseum was one of the 2 pieces from their paper, but they just focused on it in the video, and they pretended like they were painting the Colosseum with an easel and a brush in hand while reading facts about it. That was it. It's straightforward, but it's a better way than you guys having to present your papers. Okay, so I want that video to be a minimum of 3 minutes, and I want you to discuss in some capacity the research paper. Right, it doesn't have to be the full thing or both pieces. Just in some capacity, have it tie in. Okay, and you can submit this in a readable file. Usually people submit it like Dropbox, Google Drive. They'll share a link with me. If you have to turn it in through like a pen drive, you can leave it at the school with Melanie Heinitz, who's at the faculty office clerk, and she can put it in my mailbox, things like that. So there are ways. If there's any confusion, just email me. If you need help with the technology, like maybe you don't know how to use because you can just use your iPhone to do this. You can use your computer, laptop if it has a camera on it. But if you don't have any of that stuff, students have been using this One Button Studio and Amy Kong. There's her contact, and she will help film you, and she can put you on a green screen that has animations on the back and all that. So if you need help, get a hold of her. Library resource, I already have this link here. So when you click on it, it's going to already bring you into the Helena College Library for art resources here. Okay, this gives you everything you need to know, so you can already just start right here. We can click, let's say we want to find Andy Warhol. We'll click on him, and from there we're pulling up a bunch of information. And so maybe we wanted this resource here. We can click on it. Now what's really cool right here, and you're going to find this on everything, citation. Boom, there's the citation. You can pick which style, and you want MLA. There it is. And now you can copy and paste it right to your bibliography. Now, citing it in the text, in the paper itself, I just want the author's last name and the page number. Or if there is no page number, because let's say maybe it's a movie, then you need to go ahead and do like the director's last name, and just leave it at that. I'll be able to find that. Okay, so that's a link that's already provided for you in that tab. Let me show you what else we got going. Smart Thinking. Oops, I was jumping around a little bit. Okay. Smart Thinking, this is the link already. You'll click that and you'll be able to log in and upload your paper. And within 24 hours, you will get a reviewed document by professionals in the field. They're going to give you feedback and it'll be in a PDF format. So you'll be able to email that to me with your paper. You can use Turnitin right here to turn in that final paper. That's fine if you don't want to submit it to me through email. And this is a link right here that will take you to what I'm using right now, which is Screencast-O-Matic, and that will allow you to also create videos from your actual screen. So maybe you have something put together in PowerPoint and you want to do sort of a copying of that. Well, you can cast your screen in using that. So there's some information for you, and I'm sure you'll have more questions, but this will give you a basic. Just please sort of click around, be exploring from day one. Please get into this. And be thinking about works so that way when you're almost at the end of the semester, you're not scrambling, because it is going to take some time and some resources. The librarians are great for helping. They know exactly what you guys are going to be doing, because I've had my classes do this before. So any questions, just email me.